Welcome again to our Lulogooli class, and I hope you will enjoy. The other time we looked at the parts of speech which included the nouns, and we said that nouns in Lulogooli are the equivalent of virange. Today we will be looking at a different part of speech of Lulogooli known as Vikolwa. The equivalent of Vikolwa in English is a verb. Lulogooli initializes Vikolwa with K. The word Vikolwa comes from the Lulogooli word kora, do, kora, which is do. We will be understanding how the word kora agglutinates, or rather forms korwa. Now, it is in Lulogooli philosophy and the way of perceiving actions or going about with activities that the language itself came up with verbs. These verbs are varied. They mean so many things in Lulogooli, and they can be expounded further as we will be learning. One general or key aspect of verbs in Lulogooli is that they are affected by different things, and sometimes in a sentence they do not stand alone. So you will always find a verb agglutinated in a word. Some of the verbs of Lulogooli, if we were to list them, include kora, which is do, imba, which is sing, moroma, which is talk, rora, which is see, and many others. Think of any verb. Write, ngoda. This is the nature of Lulogooli verbs, and most of them we will be finding them as we continue listing the Lulogooli lexicon, that is the dictionary of Lulogooli. Here basically it will not be about listing all the verbs of Lulogooli, but trying to say how the verbs of Lulogooli come about or how they look like. This is the simple way, and one of the characteristics that you are seeing as early as at now is that they all tend to be ending with a vowel. And we did in our earlier lesson say that Lulogooli words are open-ended, that they do end with vowels, whether they are nouns, verbs, adjectives, that way. And by ending with this verb, it brings a certain characteristic of a word that we can say we have this part of the word and the end part. So that if we are to extend this, we can say we have kor plus a to get kora, do. If we are to differentiate this, we have imp and an a. The same way to talk. that way. And ngod. What does this tell about Logooli? It tells us that a verb has two initial aspects. We have the first part of it and the additional part of it. This first part of the verb is what we call the root verb. It is what we call the root verb. In Lulogooli, a root verb is muri, umuri, from the word root. Muri. So we have kar, imb, morom, ror, ngod as the root part of the word. What are we saying about the root part? It is that this is the indivisible part of the verb, meaning the end can change, but the root part cannot change at any time, at any point, unless you are communicating a different meaning from the first meaning, kor, or from the first verb. And it is in going this way that the verbs acquire different modes, whether it is in tense or it is in a time when you are agglutinating it, that generally changes this end part of the word. Why do we write our verbs this way? Or rather, why did I start by teaching this way or explaining this way? It is because this first part, we can call it the stem verb. The stem verb. The stem verb, it is the existence of the verb in its natural, or rather unstudied form. Kora, do. Nagura, run. Ibika, wear. Moroma, talk. Singira, stand. And all that. So this is the stem verb part of the verb. But these verbs are prone to acquiring different endings and beginnings. For instance, for kora, if we wanted to say something that you are doing, we would say ukora. What or where is the verb in particular at this point? The stem verb. But where is the root verb? It is at this point. Root verb. And what are these? For these, we call them ends. And this one beginnings. And all of these are affixes. This one being the prefix and this one being the suffixes. This one we shall handle them later on because we haven't yet discussed about pronouns, because U is a pronoun for you. What would be our interest here is to say how this verb can change, or rather this end part can change. this way. We have Kora, Kore, and Kori. These three, or rather, if I'm to do it better, these three are for tense. They mean different time of the act. Kora is do now. Kore is do later. Later could be a minute from now, immediately, or rather a second from now. And Kori is after. To mean that if we replaced a with an a, we've gone to the future. If we replaced the a of Emba to Imbi, we've gone back to the past. Moromi, if you do an e, you are into the past. If you do an a, you are into the future. And if you say moroma, you are in the present. That is how these verbs of Logooli are seen or can be found written. There are other additions on a verb which we may not necessarily discuss now because they are into the increasing mode of language learning. But for now, it is just important for us to understand or know that a verb in its simple sense has one indivisible part, which is called the root. And it is very important for any writer of Lulogooli or any student of Lulogooli to know what root verb or what root verb to propagate in cases of conjugation. We will be knowing what conjugation is in our next lesson. So that if we have two kinds of verbs, for instance, tura and dura. We have this tura and we have dura. Tura means get out or smelt. Dura is to blame. But in speech, how do the two come about? When you are conjugating a word like I am smelting and I am blaming, how are we going to write those kinds of words? You will have to write I am or me is represented by N, which we shall be learning. Ntura, I'm smelting. Ntura. Dura, Dura, I am getting out. But in speech, you will hear people kinda having a difficulty in differentiating or rather articulating the nt and the nd. And often, in many cases, the conflict makes both be written same. You will see people, Nduram, they write Ndura or Ndura for both I'm blaming and I'm getting out or I'm smelting. Which is wrong because when you come and search for the root verb, you will find that the dul, D-U-L, is for this, blame. And tura is for get out or smelt. Differentiating root verbs is very important. That the way we speak may have the challenges of pronunciation but the way we write should be able to differentiate what kind of a verb, because it is by differentiating what kind of a verb that the clear message is communicated in writing. With this few and rather a brief introduction on verbs, we shall be expounding on in the next lesson. I wish you a good day. Thank you. Kwagane.